Stampers, it's Ann, the Stamp Maven, here today. Have you gotten your new Stampin' Up! Holiday catalog? If you haven't, be sure to email me at Anne, A-N-N-E, at stampmaven.com so I can get one off to you. Today's projects are going to be using this great cookie cutter Christmas stamp set on page 6 of the catalog. Now, this great stamp set also has a companion stamp set over here on page 53 that is called Cookie Cutter Halloween, if Halloween is more your thing. I'm actually going to be showing you a Halloween project that only uses this first Cookie Cutter Christmas. I have quite a few customers who like to make lots of projects out of one stamp set. So I try to do that to show them how to utilize their products a little bit more. In my September online and in-person clubs, I'm going to be doing this adorable little Halloween project with the teddy bear from the stamp set. You can also put rhinestones on this bear to make it a cute little female mummy. And then in my second video I'm going to do on this stamp set, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable card using the same punch but making it into a reindeer. Okay, let's get started here. Let me move these out of the way. I'm going to show you the products that I'm going to be using so that you'll be able to pause the video and write them down if you want to. This is the Cookie Cutter Christmas stamp set. It's number 142043. I'm also going to be using the popcorn box thinlits die, which has a bunch of wonderful pieces in it. You can make the little popcorn box. You have to use 2 of these pieces, and what you want to do is you start out with a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, cut it down the middle horizontally. I've used Tangerine Tango for this project. Pumpkin Pie would also work really well. And I wanted to show you how I fit the die on here to get the best use out of my paper. So what I did is I put it right up to the edge of one side, and then I put it on my magnetic platform here. The reason I use my magnetic platform is it won't move once you get it set to roll it through your Big Shot. Then, after I did the one, all I did was turn the paper around. Then I could get my second piece right here so I can get 2 boxes out of one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. And that's very economical, especially if you want to make a bunch of these little boxes, maybe for your kids' classroom for Halloween. I also use the circle framelits, the layering circles framelits dies. If you haven't seen these, they are so awesome. We have squares, circles, and ovals, and you get all of these wonderful dies in here that have the scalloped edges and just the regular edges in 2 different sizes. This is the one that I used to cut out the circle out of my Whisper White paper for the background for my little bear. Then a couple more products that I used was the Sophisticated Serifs letters, and I stamped my boo that is going here on the project. And what I did, and I'm going to show you in a minute, but I actually used the markers instead of a stamp set, instead of a stamp pad. I love my Stampin' Write markers. They come in all of our 40 core colors and as well as our 10 in colors. I often tell my customers to, if they're just starting especially, to get the markers, because you can use them for coloring on your projects and inking up your stamp images, and that way you don't have to have all the stamp sets right in the beginning. Okay, a couple more things I'm using, and you might find this kind of funny, but my kids are grown, so I don't do as much with Halloween as I used to, even though Stampin' Up! Has a wonderful designer series paper, dies, stamp sets, and embellishments for Halloween, but I wanted to use some paper that I already had, especially for my stamp clubs, because I have a lot of ladies whose kids are grown as well, and so I like to show them how they can use other paper. Believe it or not, the paper that I used for these stripes on this box comes from the designer series paper, Pop of Paradise designer series paper. And what I did, this is one side that has the pink and the black, which really isn't very Halloween-y, but this is the other side that has some black paper that will work just perfectly for my project. So I'm going to use that. And the other thing I wanted to show you here is I'm using washi tape on my project. This washi tape is also from the Pop of Paradise, and this is the Affectionately Yours washi tape. So what I'm going to use is this black and gold from the Pop of Paradise and this cool gold here to wrap my mummy from the Affectionately Yours. The reason I tell you that is when you're buying paper, think out of the box a little bit to think, well, what am I going to be making with this and how I could stretch it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is assemble our box. Now, I've cut out my pieces and I've already put score tape down two of the sides and then on the inside of the box with these little flaps right here. So what I'm going to do first is to use my bone folder to fold down these little tabs on the score lines also all the way around of my box. The reason you want to do that is it will make your box come together. Boy, I'm really tongue-tied today, aren't I? Much more easily if you've already done your bone folder creasing. And I've put my score tape on the inside of my box so that you won't be able to see it when the flaps are rolled down here. Okay, so we got one more. Okay. This is one of our cool silicone mats, and I use that whenever I'm working with my adhesive, whether I'm using my snail or my mono adhesive. And the reason is it will not stick on this little pad, so you won't get the adhesive where you don't want it. Now I'm using our tear-in tape to put together this box because it will make it sturdier. This tear-in tape, this tear tape is so economical too. It comes in the nice big roll here, and you just peel it off and you tear it, so you don't even need scissors. How great is that? Okay, let me get it off my fingers here. Okay, and then you just peel that off. And a quick and easy way to put this box together is to just, let me get it going the right way here, is to just fold it right like this. Your two pieces come together, and then give it another good crease here. And voila, we've got this part of our box. Now, you notice here that you have this tear-in tape. I put it on the inside of your box. So how we're going to construct our box is, so I've taken off the tear-in tape off that one side. Now I'm going to take it off on the other. Remember, we put it on the inside. So what we're going to do, we're going to fold down these little tabs here. Then we're going to bend these back. We're going to pop that one under on this side. We're going to pop the other one down on this side. Then you see how that just folds down there so nicely? Now what I like to do is just turn the box inside out and use my bone folder to tamp it down a little bit. And there, now we've got our nice constructed box. Okay, now the next thing that I did on this one is I took the little strips that I cut out with that other little piece of our die. And if you notice, what's really cool about these pieces is they're actually tapered. They're a little bit thicker here at the bottom, and then they get thinner as you get to the top. So as I'm putting those on my box, and I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive, and then I'm going to pop it onto my box like that. And I'm just going to do one side so it doesn't take as long, but I'll show you again the box. You're going to actually do it on 3 sides, and then your bear will be the focal point on the side that doesn't have these. Okay, so we have those, and just like on this box, I'm going to take out the goodies. 1, 2, 3. And then our bear is going to go right here on the front with our washi tape. Okay, and here's our little girl one that has the rhinestones. Okay, so we've got our box ready. Next thing we need to do is do our bear. So I have my punch that coordinates with the stamp set, and I've just got a scrap of chocolate chip cardstock. You can use chocolate chip, you can use early espresso, you could even use soft suede, depending what color you want your bear. So now what I'm going to do is, I have got the ears, and I'm going to stamp those onto the circle of my right there. So can you see the ear that kind of comes right out here on the circle? What I like to do when I'm stamping with my photopolymer stamps, which are the ones I typically buy these days, number 1, because you can see through them when you're stamping, and number 2, they're actually a little bit cheaper. But since they're clear, when I'm doing a bunch of stamping, sometimes those little pesky pieces get lost. So I find if I put them all together on a big block, then they're really easy to find when I want to put them away. All right, so I'm going to put my ears right here on this block, and I'm actually going to stamp on my piercing mat. You always want to make sure that you are stamping on a piercing mat when you're using the photopolymer, because there's no rubber on here, and if you just stamp on a hard image, especially on the larger images, you won't get a crisp image. Now, I told you I was going to show you one of the advantages of buying the markers. Well, here it is. I'm just using my chocolate chip marker to color on the stamp to do the ears. And that means then I'm going to, again, have all the markers, and then I can be a little choosier when I'm buying my ink pads for the ones that I really want. Of course, as a demonstrator, I own them all, and with that great 20 to 25% discount, you can purchase those pretty quickly. Now, whenever you use your marker on the photopolymer stamps, since they are water-based, you want to breathe on your image before you stamp it. Okay, so I'm going to stamp those ears, and I'm going to take the ears and put it back on that block. So now I need to give our bear a face. So I've got the little face right here. I'm going to take my black marker, and I actually have several of the black markers because that is one of the colors you can buy individually and not in a color family, and I use the black ones all the time. Okay, so I'm going to come right in now, and I'm going to stamp my little face on my bear. So you see that little face? Now watch, here comes the fun part. I'm going to take this washi tape that I showed you, and I'm going to just tear off a few pieces, and I'm going to use these pieces to start wrapping around and make my little bear into a mummy. So I'm just going to tear down the center of the washi tape, and with a mummy, you know how they make those mummies, like in the old days when we used to dress up as mummies for Halloween, you'd tear a sheet, or your mom would, and it would just be really ragged, and then you'd wrap it around yourself and you'd go out on Halloween. So we're doing the same thing with this washi tape, and we're just going to wrap it around here. And the great thing about the washi tape is it is sticky on the opposite side here, so I can just push it down and don't have to worry about it. Okay, let me just do a couple more here to get him really mummified. Now I'm just going to do the little guy mummy, but as I showed you, you could put rhinestones on this to make it into a pretty little bear girl mummy. All right, almost done there. And again, there is a stamp set that will stamp this, and it will already have the mummy stuff on there for you, but I really like to show how these stamp sets and our other supplies can be so versatile. All right, so here's the last little bit I'm going to put on that mummy. Okay, now I'm going to take some of my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to put probably 3 on the back. And then I'll just peel off this little covering on the dimensionals. Then I'll line this right up next to the ears. Okay, so there we've got our bear. I'm just going to set him aside for a minute. Now I've taken my black marker again and my Tangerine Tango marker, which of course matches perfectly our Tangerine Tango paper. Then I'm going to come in with my 1-inch circle punch. You could also use a framelit for this, but with the letters, I think using the punch is a little bit easier. I'm going to turn it upside down so I can get it even. And then I'm going to just punch out these letters. Okay, so now I've got my boo. And for this, what I'm going to do is take my mono adhesive here, and I'm just going to put a couple little dots on the B. Then I'm going to just layer that O right here on the top, and this dries clear, so you don't have to worry if you just get a little heavy-handed, you won't see it when it dries. Okay, let's take that off my piercing mat. Okay, all right. Actually, what I should be using, it's covered up here, is my silicone mat, because again, that won't stick there. All right, then the next thing I'm going to do, once I went around and I put all my strips on this, I would take my bear and I would take my little boo here and take one of these neat, let me get the package here. These are our gold binder clips, and I just think they are so fun. Take that binder clip and put it right there. Then the last thing, I would just take a little bit of this black and gold washi tape. Again, just tear it off. Put it on the bottom of my little box here just to give it a little more, well actually, you know what? I didn't want it to cover up these stripes. Let me just peel this off, and I can show you how easily it peels off too. So I'm gonna just put that right over here on this side because I don't want it to cover up all those fun little black spooky stripes. Okay, so there we go. Then I would just fill this little box with either some healthy granola bars, or chocolate, of course, is always very popular. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I encourage you to go to my blog, stampmaven.com, and there's a big coral circle on that blog, and if you put your name and email in there, you'll start getting my email newsletter. You'll get tons of fun projects and tips that you can use again and again in your stamping. So thanks for coming by today and seeing this project with Cookie Cutter Christmas, and come back and see again how we're going to turn that same cookie cutter bear into a reindeer. Happy stamping!